Welcome to What's Trending, your go-to podcast for staying informed about what's trending in the ever-evolving landscape of Westchester and beyond. We are your hosts, Amanda DePalma, Senior Vice President of Events and Development, and Dr. Marsha Gordon, President and CEO of the Business Council of Westchester.
On today's episode, we're excited to welcome Jeffrey Cobelli, founder and director of Good For You Productions, a Peekskill-based film and video company focused on purpose-driven storytelling for businesses and nonprofits. Jeffrey has also started a podcast called A Good Story. Today's episode is part of a very fun podcast swap between What's Trending and A Good Story. So be sure to stay tuned for my appearance on A Good Story coming soon. We're thrilled to have Jeffrey here today to talk about the power of storytelling, what really goes into producing great video content, his new podcast, and how organizations can use film to build authentic connection and inspire people to take action. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Thank you so much. You make this sound amazing, what I do.
You are pretty amazing.
You're like, wait a minute, I'm that cool?
Like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, to start, tell us a little bit more about the work you do at Good For You Productions.
So the good comes from bad, and that's part of the story, because even my own company has a story. When I first started out, I was freelancing in reality TV and just general TV production. And the cruelty of that job as being a producer making reality TV, and no offense to all reality TV, but it's forced, it's situational, and it could be a bit pretend. So I ran away from that because I even had a pilot of a show stolen from me by VH1.
Ooh,
breaking news, right? I don't really. I'm going to try to
Ouch.
talk about some things that I've never talked about before here today, and I can't prove it. There's no, there's nothing to do about it. But I know it's there, and I said I'm tired of working in this where I'm going home and not having a fulfilled life. I want to do something better with my life, and that's the short story. But I left my job and started Good For You Productions.
And how long ago was that?
That will be 17 years in May. I can't believe that.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
And really what changed my life is going on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic. And I was documenting chiropractors trying to set a world record, which they did. They actually set a Guinness World Record for the most adjustments in 2 days, which was 55,000 people. So I thought I was just going there for that.
There really is a Guinness World Record for everything then.
If you apply and document it, they will approve it. They'll stamp it.
That's amazing.
It's when I came home from that trip, I formed a company. I made the LLC, and that because I was like, I can go back home and make good stuff. Not everything has to be this reality TV mindset. I can make things that make an impact and make a difference, and that's what I wanted to do.
And you also host a podcast. You recently relaunched your video podcast with a fresh name, A Good Story. What inspired you to bring it back, and what drew you to focus the show on spotlighting good people doing good things? And so I really can't believe I'm on the show. But
You are such a good person, and we'll talk about that tomorrow when you're on. The First Amendment is extremely important to me personally. The ability to say what you want to say, what you need to say, is crucial to the environment that we live in, both society and even economically, to be quite honest. And not to be controversial here, the reason why I relaunched it was because I thought somebody who was trying to just talk to people, Charlie Kirk, was assassinated. And I thought, wow, even somebody like that. And I'm not a fan of him. I was not following him. I just heard about what happened. And I went, if somebody like that can do that, what I thought when I researched felt genuine, in my opinion, and for him to have his life taken, I said, wow, why would I stop myself from sharing my message? I actually didn't get scared by it. I felt compelled to do more because, again, it's back to the First Amendment. Everybody needs to talk about things as much as possible. I don't want people to isolate and hide. I want them to share and express and see what happens, because for me, that's the way for progress.
That's such an impactful thought. I mean, storytelling is clearly at the heart of everything that you do. Why do stories matter so much, especially for organizations trying to connect with people in a real way?
Quick story. My first project, once I started Good For You Productions, was called Someday Melissa. A mother hired me to tell a story about her daughter who had died 2 months prior of bulimia. So she said, I found her journal. She wrote and she said, someday I'll have a boyfriend, someday I'll have a job. The last line was, someday I'll make a movie that will change lives. We worked on telling her story for a year and a half. It got a lot of media attention. It was in the New York Times on the Today Show. And because of that, I got fired.
Oh, my.
Because the mother went, oh, my God, I'm getting all this attention. There's this other company. They promise all of these things. They promised all of these things. And they deviated from the story. The mother came back to me and rehired me. And she said, I don't want something overproduced. So this is full circle to even what I was talking about before about reality TV. She said, you were the one telling the story. You weren't sensationalizing my daughter's life, my own life, and I want you to come back. And I ended up being the boss of that company. So like the roles got changed. So that's the long answer to
That's a great story.
But so that reminded me, she went, it's all about the story. She goes, I don't want to talk about my divorce. I don't want to talk about this. And let's just focus on the story, which was Melissa struggling with something. And let's just tell that story to see if it'll help other people. And the National Eating Disorder Association ended up purchasing the film after it was done, and now it's in colleges and institutions to help.
NEDA, right? It's NEDA.
NEDA,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did set out to do good things, and that's one of them.
So fulfilling. I mean, I just got tingles when you said that, because every client that hires me fulfills the purpose that I set out to do. And when you talk about, hey, he started this company 20 years ago for these, when I started the company, there was not a market for this.
Yeah.
Right. You were way ahead of the game.
I think, I guess. I just was hoping that there was other good people out there.
You were a first mover, and that's very, very important. You really moved the industry forward, and you should be very, very proud of that.
Oh, thank you, Marsha.
So when an organization is thinking about producing a video, telling a story through producing a video, what should they realistically expect in terms of the process, in terms of the cost, in terms of what the time that they're going to give, and what factors tend to drive that process and that budget and everything up and down?
Someday Melissa took me 2 years to make. That's not typical. That's just one project. And I can only talk about me personally as a production company. When you start talking to me, what you can expect is expect me to be as invested as you are in your mission, because I truly care about it. When we tell stories for nonprofits and I'm sitting across the person interviewing them, when they cry, I cry. I am just there, step in emotion, because I'm trying to capture something that's real and authentic, which, again, I feel like some of those abilities to tell stories are disappearing. We're not living in authenticity, but that's okay. That's why, we tell real stories in my world to make up for that. This is why I always tell people too, with me, from the moment you meet me to the moment the video's done, it's anywhere from 6 to 9 months, to be honest, because we're not even, from the moment you meet me, we probably won't even start shooting until 3 to 6 months. Editing will take a few months. When it comes to cost, it's really just about quality, from the high and the low. Just remember, everybody's trying to eat. So when you hire somebody, I think this is really important. If I could I'm going to take 30 seconds and explain this. When you hire somebody in our industry, most of the time they're working on a day rate. So you may hear a photographer, $750 a day, a director of photography. We don't really have videographers. We have directors of photography. They could be $1,500 a day. And you go, oh my God, but they come with their own cameras. You have them for 10 hours. It is high quality. You should not be able to tell the difference between our work and what's on TV. And that's a local effort that we try to provide. So within that, we try to maximize what they're getting. So if hey, I just have an event for an hour, I'm like, but you're booking us for 10. What else can we do with the other 9? So everything that we try to do, because it's going to be a lot of money, it's going to sound like a lot of money. There's always sticker shock with what we do. But then once they see what we do, the process and how much work goes into it, I do think there's an understanding with that. So I hope that answers it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Can you take us a little bit more sort of from the concept to final product? What does it look like? What does the process look like behind the scenes?
And can I just add something? I'm also curious to know who your clients, not names of the clients, but what types of clients you have. You talked about Melissa and the story. What types of clients do you have, and what is the process?
I don't mind saying the names of them, if you don't mind. But,
sure.
Because even this year, It looks like we're going to be working with Luca, which is the Latino University College Access, right?
And Faith Butcher is amazing.
The Child Care Council of Westchester.
Wonderful.
Working with them.
Women, yeah, wonderful people.
So,
so there's
folks
a lot
like
of
that.
All good people doing good things.
Absolutely.
For the last 8 years, I've been working directly with West Point. So we've been making documentaries, one of which was just premiered last week. It was about the class of 1966 of West Point and their Vietnam story, where they lost 33 classmates in that conflict, and it was a tribute to the fallen brothers. So it wasn't political. Contextually, we told the story of what was going on there, but it was all about the stories of the 33 fallen brothers. So yeah, very serious, impactful stuff. We're also just completed a story of it was a Yonker. I won't have to say his name because he has a private documentary, but I can talk about what it is. There was a guy, he's Yonkers PD, diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, told to be on chemo for the rest of his life, just didn't want to do it. Not saying that anybody should or should not, just wasn't the choice for him. He did a bone marrow transplant, and he has a clean bill of health. So it's called No Sad Stories. He's all about overcoming hardships. And then another film that I'm premiering this year is called A Winter Dream. A colleague of mine, me and him co-directed and co-produced he was in the Special Olympics 20 years ago and went to Japan for floor hockey, and he won the gold medal. Sorry, spoiler alert for anybody listening. But we just finished that, so that took about 2 years, but that's the 20th anniversary. So we work on real stories about real people, but the people that me and you know. I think we could relate and understand all of these people, and that's what I want. Like, these people are your neighbors. This isn't Hollywood stuff. This is right here in New York, right here in Westchester. So I do appreciate that.
But it's taking these people that we know and showing maybe different sides that not everybody knew, which is, I think, incredibly important.
I think so, and I'm so grateful that people even share that with me. Because that's what I say, when they're crying, I have to cry.
It's a very personal experience.
And that's why I have to be there with them. So just going back to Someday Melissa, when Judy's the mom's name, and thank God for Judy, because I graduated from Emerson College and didn't know what I was going to do after leaving TV. And when I got introduced to her, she said, she was telling me all about her daughter, Melissa. She said, tell me about you. And I said, well, I just graduated from Emerson College. And she went, stop, you're hired. And I was like, why? And she went, my daughter got accepted 2 days before she died. She goes, so I don't know why you're here, incredible. But you need to do this. But again, she reminds me of the story, and I just lost track because there was something I want to say that was really important about her, and I just forgot it. What did you ask me? Sorry, I'm trying to.
I had asked about Marsha
That's the wonderful thing about stories, right? And that's why you're so good at storytelling.
But there was something so important about Judy.
Because they can meander. And we can come back to them when it comes back into our minds, right?
Oh, so that's what it was. So this is very important, and this is what gives me the ability to sit in that room with anybody. Judy used to ask me, she goes, how do you do it? You're sitting there, we're talking about my daughter who passed, we're talking about all these problems. She's like, how do you show up every day? And I would say to her almost every day, I was like, Judy, if you can do it, I can do it, because you make it look easy. And so that's what I come into everybody with. If they're doing it, then I need to show up for them too, because it's really important. They're being vulnerable. Anytime someone's vulnerable, I think you need to respect that, or else they won't talk anymore. So thank you.
And then you lose the authenticity to it too.
We're back to that. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you for circling back to that. I'm so glad I didn't lose that. That was so important.
That was. See? So I'm actually going to skip ahead in some of the questions that we had planned here, but you've spent nearly 2 decades in film and video production. How has storytelling changed over the years, especially with the rise of short-form video and now social media?
Yeah, it's attention spans. So even when we are, when you just look at TV programs, again, I came from a TV background, so I used to work for TV One. We used to produce a show for Jesse Jackson, obviously rest in peace. He just passed away recently, but we used to work on a TV show called In Conversation with Jesse Jackson. So we can remember blocks of TV were about 7 minutes long, 30-second commercials. You had a few blocks. To expect somebody younger than 30 to pay attention to a video that's 7 minutes long is unrealistic at this point. And I'm sorry to say that. But if you have a 7-minute video, every 15 seconds, every 30 seconds, something needs to happen, something needs to pivot. I think you have less of a window to captivate them. But if you keep having bells and whistles, you'll get their attention back because they drift. So I think what we have to do is you don't have the time. When I go back and watch a movie in the 1980s and I see that it takes 5 minutes for the title sequence when they put all the names, now when you look at movies, as soon as it starts, there's an explosion.
Usually.
Right? Because they know kids are not going to sit through a 5-minute title sequence like we used to do, because that's what we expected. So it's not a problem per se. I think you just need to adapt on how they're receiving it and just make shorter increments. I mean, I even feel that way when I talk to my own kids. I'm like, I'm running out of time here. Like, I better wrap this up. It's no different in videos.
Now, after you've made all of these videos and you work with these organizations, what's the best way for these organizations to use what you've created for their own outreach?
Yeah, they need to spend a lot. So I'm normally the person who's executing the strategy, but I'll tell you, I've been in so many rooms and everybody has used things different ways. Obviously, email can be effective, social media can be effective, and everybody talks about these things, right? But I did a job for an adoption agency. I think they're the third biggest in the country, Spence Chapin. They're in New York City. And I like to talk about things very openly. So they hired me to make videos about their adoption stories, and I charged $50,000. It took a year to make those. And they were even like, who's this kid from Peekskill? We're going to give him all this money, what he's going to do. After we finished the videos, the CEO called me up. He goes, I just met with one of our corporate sponsors, and I had an iPad, and I showed him one of your stories. He goes, they just gave me $50,000. So he goes, I just want to let you know that you're you're good.
Wow, that's
the next week, another iPad meeting, just showed him a video, another $50,000. So sometimes I think we just need to be creative. So many people are thinking, how many views? Can it go viral? But for me, I'm about impact. I just did a video last year for Pegasus. There was a donor in the room. We did a story about her mom who was overcoming Parkinson's to get on a horse.
Yeah.
So she crawled to be upright.
No, Pegasus.
Oh, you know Pegasus too? That's great.
Yeah.
The executive director looked at me and she said, you see the daughter in the audience? You just made her cry. He said 3 times I saw her cry. And I'm very transparent. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be insensitive, but it's real. This is a real exchange. He went, each cry was worth $100,000. He goes, she just agreed to give us $300,000.
Well, you're making an impact.
So you don't need to reach 1 million people per se.
You need to reach the right people
in the right ways.
Story and touch the right heartstring.
So I want to be strategical,
in a very good
right?
way, yes.
Like surgical. That's how you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I want to ask you about doing business in Peekskill and having your business there, because I love Peekskill, and I was honored to co-chair the local planning committee when they won the DRI, and I see great things happening. What's happening in the Peekskill scene? And you've gotten so involved in the community.
So I have, and I want to help build it up because you know what it is? Peekskill gave me a chance. When I started, this all comes back to Someday Melissa in some ways. When I got a check from Judy and she said, here, go make my film, I didn't even have an office at the time. And I started calling up people, and it was Ben Green at the Hat Factory who welcomed me in.
The Hat Factory, yeah.
And he was also like a movie maker and a movie. So I just met another creative, and he was like, I want to support this. So Peekskill has been that artist hub for me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There is another nonprofit that we work with called New Era Creative Space, NECS. It's run by Riswan Ivada, I think is her last name. But she's all about giving kids in inner cities a chance. I don't have a sob story when I was younger, but I didn't have access to cameras and stuff like that, and I wish I did. There's another generation that doesn't even have the time to access equipment. So we've developed a workforce program that is privately funded where the kids 16 to 25 get paid to learn. 6-week summer programs, they get paid $17 an hour, 20 hours a week. And then we have to talk about money managing. So we actually bring them to M&T Bank.
Now that's great.
And now they get counseling and finances.
Literacy,
because they get that check for $600 and a 16-year-old just goes and spends it. So all these things, I want to help out kids. I want to help out the community and with the creative bone because it helped me in my life so much. So I just want to pay that forward as well.
That's great. Well, we're all noticing it, Jeffrey, and we notice your involvement, and we appreciate it because you become a real impactful community citizen. So thank you so much. And so before we wrap up, what's next for Good For You Productions? And for Good Story, any new projects, initiatives, upcoming episodes you might want to talk about? You're especially excited about.
I have never been more excited for a March 4th in my life.
Well, we're marching forth, right? Yeah, March 4th.
And actually, I do want to just say this because it's important to get on record. I really am excited to have you on my podcast because you could have said no. You know, and that's what I appreciate about you is I've also seen you everywhere supporting people. You've navigated difficult conversations. I've met you all because I don't know how it happened, but you all awarded me with the 40 under 40 and that's how I got engaged with this. And then I study people. I study you, Amanda. You don't know this, but I study you, Marsha. And I watch you guys, and I'm like,
A+, man. Whew.
Well, I'm still working on how to quantify everything, but it's a feeling, right? So this is where I want to be. This is where I feel like home. It's with you all are so inviting. I can't forget about Linda. Everybody. Kaylee. I just said to Andrew, I was like, who's this Kaylee person? She's like the sweetest. That's who I would want answering my door when somebody walks in. Like that's your first impression is beautiful. So that's about you guys. For me, coming up, we're just expanding in an interesting way. My wife, Wendy, has now partnered with me, but she has an HR background. So we're looking to help people if they have HR compliance videos or a strategy, how to move forward, internalizing some things. Things like that. I want to impact more because I help out so much with nonprofits, but now how do we help out businesses? Because there's definitely hiring problems. There's keeping people, in compliance, regulation things. So maybe there's videos that can supplement busy CEOs to free up more time.
That's great. And talk to Linda about our HR council also, which you should be part of, and Wendy should be part of too.
Wendy, if you're listening,
yep, okay.
That's your cue.
So Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining us today on What's Trending, your perspective on storytelling, on production, and how to use video as a tool for real impact. You're incredibly insightful, and you're funny, and you cry, and we just love everything about you and your business. But thank you for being generous with sharing your expertise, your experiences, and for the work that you're doing to elevate meaningful stories in our community. So we thank you so much. I look forward to being in Peekskill tomorrow morning with you, and we will let everybody know. And we look forward to really doing much more together to create economic opportunity for everyone in Westchester County and the region. So we thank you to our listeners for listening, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Be sure to check out the BCW Podcast Network's expansive lineup of shows: Leadership Unleashed, What's Trending, Advocacy and Politics Unplugged, The Member Spotlight, and Nonprofit Voices of Impact. The Business Council of Westchester is the county's largest business membership organization focusing on economic development and advocacy. With over 1,100 members, it is our mission to work for the profitability of our members and the prosperity of the Westchester community. To learn more about the Business Council of Westchester, please go to thebcw.org.